without a shadow of a doubt. It's the Crumpet Show in social media history. I want to welcome you to the War Zone. I got my co-host Donovan Sadiq in the building, the Queen, Demetra K. And tonight, we got a very educated Negro in the building, a professor. I don't think they ready for it. I don't think they ready for the professor tonight. Say, man, they call me, they mess up my music, but that's all right, because it's been a beautiful day. There's some things that happen all over the world today, and we definitely gonna talk about it. Now, what I need from you good people is to always remember, when I'm getting ready to go on the show, I'm in my zone. So don't dial my phone. You mess up my intro music. Every superhero needs some theme music. So you be messing with my theme music, man. Yeah, it's been a good day. First of all, thank y'all for tuning in. Without y'all, we could not do this show every day. We couldn't do it, man. I wonder how many of y'all getting ready for the 4th of July, to go out there and mess off all your money with your fireworks and all that other stuff you do on that day. Me, I'm gonna be laying in the bed fighting, sleep all day long. That's what I'm gonna be doing. But here's the thing. I'm gonna turn it over to the Queen and she's gonna get us going.
So hello everybody, once again welcome to the Wednesday night edition of the War Zone, and thank you so much again. And let me tell y'all something. Last night, the comment section, that was the show within the show. I'm hoping everybody will have put aside their differences and everybody's getting along great for this show. And so in just a minute, we're going to talk to Professor Jeremiah Smith, and he is going to teach us the difference between the market and the economy and why we as Black people should know the difference and even care, right? But before we get into that, Gary, I understand that Trump had some words for Black people in regards to our history. So tell the good people what he said.
Trump said today that if you don't learn your history, you about to repeat it. Now, on an average day, Trump says some crazy stuff and, he should be condemned for it. But today, what he said was prophetic. What he said today was the natural truth. If you Negroes do not learn your history, you will not be wearing Gucci chains and belts. You will be in some chains, but you ain't gonna understand it. So what he said today, I do not disagree with Donald Trump. I totally agree with him.
Well, I mean, I haven't personally seen the tweet myself, but if he did indeed say basically that we as Black people don't know our history, or we need to know it, or we're doomed to repeat it, nothing could be farther from the truth. I know a lot of times people take exception to Donald Trump saying things because, he says a lot of things that are incendiary and just plain old dumb and ignorant. But that's a fact, regardless of who you're talking about. But I would say most definitely we as Black people sometimes lack knowing who we are, just really in a historical context of where we came from. Not just because a lot of times we think we started in slavery. Okay, Black people no, we started way before slavery in the motherland. So I agree with that. Donovan, what say you?
Like I said, welcome to the Wednesday edition. Again, I love the comments. I mean, we are dealing with people. Has to be the greatest conversation on the internet. But as far as Donald Trump goes, for a man that doesn't know how to read, I'm going to have to agree. At least he knows if you don't know your history, you're bound to repeat it. So I'm going to have to agree with them if that's what was said.
I think it's got far more to do with just knowing your history. I mean, the way that we're living, the irresponsible way that we're handling everything. That's why you got good people like Professor Jeremiah on the show tonight to try to educate folk so that we don't put ourselves in a position where we we go back and repeat ourselves. But our problem is because it came out of Trump's mouth, it was a racist statement. No, it was actually a true statement. If you take it as a racist statement, that's totally up to you. I could care less, but I totally agree with Donald Trump on the statement.
All right. And so without further ado, and of course, Jeremiah, we'll get into all of that as we go. So I want to properly introduce Professor Jeremiah Smith. Jeremiah Smith is a professor out here in Southern California, and he has been that for several years. Not only that, he has an extensive background in the financial services industry. He can tell you the ins and outs about most things. I won't say everything because nobody knows everything, but most things regarding especially the stock market, finances, how money works. And he is, as Gary said, one of the best to ever do it. And he's also my little brother. So, you know. So anyway, he's going to talk to us about the difference between the market and the economy and why we should know the difference. So Jeremiah, go ahead. Professor Jeremiah, I'll go ahead and let you take it away.
All right. So good evening, Warzone. I'm happy to be here with you all. So glad to have meaningful conversations about these topics because we just need to really be able to get into it so that we know how these things work so it's not dictated to us. Right, we're in a position of power with the knowledge that we'll have and share together. So quickly just getting into where the market is, just on a general basis, the stock market is near all-time highs. You probably know that the economy isn't there, and we're going to kind of break that down a little bit more. The stay-at-home stocks, Netflix, Amazon, and for some reason Tesla, has reached new all-time highs today, highest they've ever been. So stock market's doing well. A lot of people will try to take credit for that and you know, say that that is the economy, that things are okay. But we all know that's not the case, right? So when we look at the economy, we know that 20+ million people are still unemployed. And that's just what's being reported. We're not even talking about underemployed because many times, many of us have to work 2 to 3 jobs to keep up with what's necessary in our given areas or obligation. So, you know, that number is probably closer to 30 or 35 million. This is the number that's really stood out to me. And I really want to make the distinction between accounts and dollars. In May, 100 million credit accounts were not paid. Not dollars, accounts. Credit cards, loans, mortgages were not paid through the different deferment or payment restructures or pushing them out. So you had a combination of things happening, right? Some people who just could not pay and their lenders were willing to work with them. And you had a combination of people who said, this is my chance to take advantage, right? There is a fraction of those, maybe just a couple thousand, right? If we're being honest. But why is that happening? And what's happening with that money? Now, what we've seen happening lately, because a lot more people are home, some have more disposable income. A lot more people are taking so much risk in the market than ever before. So, you know, if there's a thing that's being talked about now, the Robinhood traders, right? Robinhood's a good app. It's free. It's a great platform. Really good explanations on how things work. But as someone who's been in the market, been trading the market for almost 2 decades now, a lot of those new traders are like sitting ducks. We kind of know these people are coming in, they have no knowledge of how it works. They're going to pump stocks up and they're going to hope that things work. And we know how to take advantage of those folks. A good example would be a company like Hertz. Hertz announced about 2 to 3 weeks ago that they're going out of business, bankrupt. And their stock was less than $2, $3 a share. People were rolling the dice, buying that stock. To the point where Hertz had to come out and say, look, you buy this stock, you're going to lose your money. We're giving you full disclosure. You're going to lose your money. And so, you know, now it's probably at a more appropriate place, $1 and change, or close to $4 now, actually. But there are a lot more people taking unnecessary risks because they don't have things to do because you know, sometimes the knowledge isn't there. and I'll try to share as much of that as possible. Got a couple other points I want to touch, but I want to give you a chance to ask any questions or anything before I go too much further.
So I want to just clarify something. You said 100 million accounts went unpaid. So like you said, mortgages, credit cards, cars, and all of that. So do you, like, in your expert opinion, why? Because like I heard you say some people were kind of maybe are taking advantage of it. Because we know also in Texas, I think they said landlords are owed just, you know, in regards to rents to the tune of $4 million. So in your opinion, was it that people didn't have the money to begin with, or the loss of the jobs, or what? What happened there?
A lot of banks were, and this is where we get into maybe the inequalities of how the stimulus was distributed. A lot of banks were already given money to bolster themselves to absorb the losses that they're expecting to take through a lot of these loans. They already have the money if you decide to stop paying your credit card, your mortgage, or your auto loan. And so they've worked out programs with people. And so a lot more people, like, their jobs just went away, right? And so, there's a lot of them who weren't able to get that extra $600 a week through unemployment benefits. They just went away. So they said, okay, we're going to offer you some help. We're going to give you 3 to 4 months to hopefully figure it out. And we'll push that to the end, and we'll just take care of it for you. But it never actually just works that simple.
So, because a lot of people, and like when the shutdowns happen, and it's starting to shut down again, in California, Governor Newsom announced that bars, restaurants, museums, and parks, and just a whole host of things are shut down. Again, bars completely shut down. Don't go in there looking for no drinks because they're supposed to be closed. I think beaches are closed. But before that, the first shutdown happened, people were saying, even on this show, hey, pay your bills. Do whatever you can to pay your bills. You know, don't try to take advantage of this, because these mortgage companies and, you know, the landlords and, you know, all these debtors, if you will, are going to come looking for their money. And so now here we are. It's time to pay up. What do you think is going to happen with that?
So this, if we have another foreclosure or real estate crisis, it will be much different than the last time, where the banks didn't want to hold on to the properties and they were auctioning them off at, you know, at a percentage of the actual value. This time, the banks realize the value in that real estate, so they're looking to snap it up for their own book, for their own portfolios this time. So if you run into a problem after all these, you know, crutches and lifelines have been given through this pandemic, it's not going to be a process where, you know, last time everybody kind of knew, hey, the bank doesn't want to take on this property. They'll probably work with me, maybe even give me some cash to leave. That's not going to happen this time. They know that they have people, that are buyers that are ready to take on properties, and they will snap them up in a heartbeat, or just hold on to them for the next 10 or 12 years, because they realize that it did actually cycle back.
So is this a buyer's market then, in regards to the houses?
I wouldn't buy in this market, unless it was for, you know, unless I had to change states due to a job change situation, or if you knew for a fact that you were going to be in a place for 10 to 15 years, and you can absorb the flows of the market where it's going to go. But I wouldn't personally enter the market, and I'm, you know, looking to buy another home, but I'm waiting because I feel like there's something coming. I feel like the prices are going to be better in the next 6 to 12 months. So I'm in no hurry. What I'm doing personally is just kind of improving my own financial situation, improving my credit, improving savings, to where when that time comes, I can more quickly, more nimbly act and take advantage of the situation. And that's what I think we need to be doing, is just, you know, I would say, I'll kind of pivot to another point, in that as Black people, this pandemic has been helpful for us. As someone who works in 2 corporate areas, to where I haven't been kind of subject to a lot of those daily stresses, right? Where I actually been able to remain in my house and be the king, and my wife be the queen of the setting every day, without having to go out and kind of get knocked down and come back. So it has been healthy in that regard. So I think just kind of continuing to build. My kid's school sent a survey out just in regards to coming back, and they said, if has anything been positive in this pandemic, any good to come out of it? And I said, yeah, my kids have been learning how to master technology a little bit, and they haven't been subject to some of these racial microaggressions and discrimination and these little, things that happen and misunderstandings and whatnot that seem to always happen to them. So it's been healthy for their mental in this regard. So I think there's a lot of lessons that can be taken from that.
Are you sending your kids back to school?
We don't have to. We're blessed that me and my wife can both work from home should we have to. So we're not in a position where we need school to be daycare for us, which is the position a lot of people are in. And so that's why the economy, as bad as every person in the state of Texas and the president wants it to go back, it can't. Because the people that that support the economy, which are the essential workers, truly, a lot of them rely on school to be daycare for their kids. So if you don't have a safe school or situation to where these people can even go to work, if it was actually safe, you can't have a functioning economy without that.
Will our economy go back to normal? Whatever normal is, and define normal. What is normal, and will we go back to that?
Normal would be a percentage of GDP growth between 1.5% and 2% on a consistent basis. We probably won't get consistent growth probably for the next, I'd say, 2 to 3 years. Now, we're going to have periods where GDP growth is going to be 8 and 12% just because we're coming off of how much lower it's been. But consistent level economy where, and let me say this in regards to the economy, we repeatedly will come back to the foundation of the economy that was established by the last administration. As much as we could bubble up through all these programs, we are going to repeatedly test that foundation.
So, go ahead. You guys jump in.
I'm listening, man. I want to speak to the people. You was making reference to us telling them that they needed to pay their bills. We did tell them. So, the homeless population in America is going to go through the roof. It's going to go through the roof because a lot of y'all out there were not responsible. You didn't want to be responsible. You thought you could win and you could cut a corner. So now these people are coming back and the devil wants your soul now. So honestly, for me to y'all, I don't want to sound heartless, but I really don't care. Because you had more than enough information, you had more than enough time to get yourself in order. And a lot of people just don't, I don't get it with African Americans some days. We just don't want to get ourselves in order. We want to keep playing the victim. And in this economy and in this market, you don't have to be the victim. You're choosing to be.
And I'll put it. I'll actually submit this to that. The market is at all-time highs, and I've had people ask me, well, we have the pandemic, we have we have protests going on, we have all these other things happening. How is the market at all-time highs? The market has no conscience. The market will step over your dead body if it thinks it will make a percentage more than it did yesterday. And it doesn't matter if it died from police, from COVID, from anything else, from pollution, anything, the market is soulless.
And and it just and Donovan, you jump in whenever you want. Don't let me do all the talking because I will. To Gary's point, I think like a lot of things look very bad now. Obviously, we know the economy is not what it was yesterday, and in some regards, I think that's kind of good. Because there's a lot of things out there that'll actually help you. I was reading an article the other day, and it says that 60% of Black businesses didn't even apply for all of these low interest loans and these grants that the government was really giving out. 60% of Black businesses didn't even do it. And so a lot of times, as my father always says, it's all about knowing. If you know and you educate yourselves and just read the newspapers and, the news, they're giving you this information. That's how a lot of us learned about it. It's all about knowing. And so I know one loan program expired yesterday. And when I tell you they're literally giving money away to people who had a business, I don't care how big or how small that business is, they were giving you money. And a lot of us as Black people have businesses when they didn't say, well, just how well is your business doing? How many, they just, do you have a business? Yes. Okay, fill out the appropriate paperwork. There you go. Here's some money. 60%. Do you know what's that? If even half of 100% of Black businesses would have did that, what that would have done for our Black economy? It is all about knowing. So, and then go ahead.
Can I jump on that real quick? I mean, and in addition to that money that was made available to Black businesses, over 1 million dead people got checks. I mean, so the money was there. It was apply. I mean, there's money there, but
a million?
Over a million dead people.
I don't know how to work with dead people, but I don't think they're gonna spend a goddamn thing.
And just to that point, just what you're saying, Demetri, about obtaining the knowledge and just not just going after it. Oftentimes we rely on somebody, and I'll even say like me, to tell you how it should go and want me to kind of sometimes lead you down the way, even for pay. But it's best if you can educate yourself so that way you're not in position to be taken advantage of. And you just have to seek this information out. You got to go to the bottom of web pages and click those links and get into all those back corners and see what's there. And you will learn and be so much more well equipped, or, really, really dive into it and question the people who know when you can, but don't be afraid to look into it yourself. I mean, there's so much out there just from looking at it. I see Shannon has a question here. Do you guys want me to address that here now? Okay, Shannon. So I'll first say that stock options are the only way I trade the market. Back in 2001, when I first got into the business and getting my Series 7 license, their portion of it was dedicated to stock options. Had it not been for that portion, I probably wouldn't have passed. So I'm grateful for that portion, and because I got every question right there. So yes, it's a good idea to start investing in them, but and this is why stock options allow you to play the market for whichever way it's going, up or down, and even sideways. But it is a complicated thing where you can get a lot more leverage than you may be expecting at times. So I would say definitely educate yourself, do some simulations, do some practice trades. Don't be in a hurry to get into the market. The market is open, 200 plus days a year, so you don't have to get right at it. But it's a great way to balance your portfolio or balance what you're doing. Because if you own real estate, you're already positioned where you're hoping for the economy or the markets to go up. So if you can trade stock options to allow yourself an opportunity to make money or hedge against the economy dropping, then you have true balance. But if you have a stock portfolio or a retirement plan and real estate, you are triple leveraged, we could say, to the market going up. That's the only way you can make money. Market goes down, you're losing in every position. So I would say just fully educate yourself. Real estate, if you're into buying, I think you'll get some great opportunities soon, because there will be pain that comes. There will be people who lose jobs, whose jobs don't come back, who aren't going to work out these plans, these lifelines they've been given for 4 months. That is going to happen. So I would just prepare myself and be ready to pounce when the opportunities come up.
My question to you is why is it so hard to have a financial conversation, whether it's stocks, real estate, with African American? Why is it so hard to have that conversation?
Because traditionally it's been industries that haven't welcomed us. You know, someone who got in the industry at 21 years old, I had an expectation about what they thought of me. And so, I can tell you that, you know, it was a lot more welcoming, and I appreciated it because it became a numbers game where I may have been a little uncomfortable because you're Black, but, you know, at 21 years old, I had clients that were heads of radiology and different doctors and different lawyers that would lock their door if I was crossing the street. But because I was in a conference room telling them how to get wealthy, they were willing to talk. And so that I like that industry was clarifying that there was a bottom line, similar to sports, where it was just about numbers and it became about that. So I think there's a lot of distrust. A lot of the industries have been built on taking advantage of us. So there is a natural level of distrust that exists. And then the other thing I'd say, a lot of us don't get information unless we're being sold something. Right? You can go, you want to learn about cars, you're going to go talk to somebody, but they're going to push a brochure in front of you at the end. Same with insurance, same with taxes, same with investments. I'll tell you all about it, but you got to buy something from me. And that's usually how we've been traditionally getting into trouble, and then establish a level of distrust because that first experience was, you know, we were taken advantage of.
And I would say this, and Gary, you know, is in life insurance. I've done life insurance, and, you know, Jeremiah's done life insurance. Donovan's bought life insurance, but I think we have all heard from, especially our people, well, you know, how I know, you know, this, that, and the other, and how I know they ain't gonna take my money, and, you know, it's just like you said, there's a whole bunch of distrust, and it takes a lot. It takes a lot more to convince us to get what's necessary, like a life insurance policy. And I will agree with you, because most people I talk to, not everybody, but most people I talk to talked about how somebody did them wrong. You know, somebody, oh, my mama died, and, you know, the insurance policy didn't pay. But the other part of that, the lack of education in that, well, you didn't say your mama let the policy lapse. You know, so it wasn't that the insurance company ripped your mama off. Is that your mama let the insurance policy lapse. And so, you know, not knowing, you know, builds a lack of trust. Gary, what say you?
No, I totally agree with you, man. I mean, just trying to have that financial conversation with our people some days is like pulling teeth. You know, Jeremiah can sit up here all night. But I'm gonna tell you something makes folk mad. You know, I do it every night. If Jeremiah start talking about how much a sack of weed costs, the comments gonna blow up. Because we have to realize that some Black people don't want money. They just want a sack. That's all it is. So, and I use that analogy to say this, that some people, Black people, don't want to be wealthy. They're comfortable being poor because being poor means that you don't have to be responsible. You don't have to. Go ahead,
Jeremy. Gary, I feel like I have to say that we aren't the only people that have those types of people within us, within our population.
And I get that. We're not the only people, but don't take this the wrong way, big dog. I don't want you to jump through that screen on me. But we talking to our people.
Absolutely.
And that cliche that they like to use, where the other people is, I ain't talking about them right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about you Black people out there that refuse to be responsible. When good people like Professor Jeremiah shows up to give you the game, he don't have to do this. But let somebody come on TV, you know, and tell you, you need to show up at the Holiday Inn. I'm gonna tell you how to get rich. It's only $49.95. Your Black ass gonna burn up trying to get to that Holiday Inn. But the brothers come on here to give you the game for free, and you're not taking advantage of it. That's the most frustrating part to me.
I hear you there, and you know, yeah, I think as a people, we have a, you know, where sometimes again, because we've been burned so many times, we're looking to almost make up for all those times we've been taken advantage of, or something that may happen quick. And it's never quick.
You got me crunked up now, Jeremiah. Yeah, some of us have been burnt, but some of us ain't never even touched the fire. Some of us just full of shit.
Oh, I know.
Nothing, man.
I went through the last real estate thing when I met more cats from LA who had condo plans and, you know, redevelopment, and we're going to flip this and sell this, and more than ever. I told my sister we need to make a game show and put all of them in a room and see if we get each other to sign their contract on the BS they were selling. But that definitely is the case. One thing I want to talk about, though, with some of the jobs that have gone away that may not come back, is organizations now have figured out or learning how to be more profitable by using less people. So, you know, if we talk, you know, to get into a kind of accounting terms, we talk about top line growth. When they're talking about sales and revenue versus the expenses that exist, both of those numbers are going to shrink, but they're still going to find a way to be profitable without having as many people. And for us as a people, oftentimes we've been in position to where we are the physical, we're the labor, we are sometimes the logistics folks, because sometimes those have lower barriers to entry. But what's going to happen with the contact limitations we have in this new economy, will become the most expendable. So we got to be careful about some of those opportunities, and this is a great time to build your own thing. Like never before, never has the world paused like this, where you can really re-up and figure out what you're going to do with nobody running past you.
So, and that was actually a good segue into what I was going to ask you. Okay, so we all know that there's a lot of businesses that aren't coming back ever. A lot of people who, you said 20 million people have lost their jobs since the COVID took place. A lot of those jobs aren't coming back. And as you said, we predominantly work in the service industry. We are service in, you know, manual labor, the warehouses and all of that. And so what would you suggest that we build? What do we need? Like, what is it? Somebody, like, let's say I lost my job, is not coming back, and I have a little bit of money and I want to start a business. What would you recommend?
I would try to create something that you control and can be seen as an expert in. And it may exist naturally, or it may be something you can learn. And I'll even say, focus on solving a problem, right? There's an old Bill Gates or Microsoft commercial about when he built a computer and he's told his parents, I built a computer. And dad said, what's a computer, right? And mom's question was the one that made him rich, which is, why would a person need a computer, right? So if you can get into solving a problem that exists, I've heard becoming a virtual assistant is a trending thing, to where you help people manage their appointments or different financial obligations or things that are happening. If you can master that, getting social media. Oh, how about this? Social media certification. Everybody's on social media, but who's doing it professionally? You know how many social media certifications are out there for free, where you can get professional skills and designations on being a social media manager, create campaign strategy, and eventually be hired by brands, by a company that you can create to be a professional social media manager. So that's free, absolutely free. You can build a portfolio. I have no problem providing resources for those companies where that exists.
I tell you what, man, they got a whole bunch of careers they could do on social media. Because a whole bunch of them could start a career in shit talking. Because that's all they do is talk shit.
And that's there. I mean, I'll tell you, I teach in a sports management program, right? And one of the classes I created is a sports argument and debate class. Because like you said, just talking, whether it's about sports, music, or whatever, in an entertaining way is a business. And so you find an area or create and position yourself as an expert in those areas, you can carve out a niche for yourself. But you really got to have the goods in it. You really got to be foundation and settled and really knowledgeable in those areas, and you can carve out a niche for yourself. And and you can turn the tables to where you're not going to that interview saying, I hope they give me a chance. I hope I can answer these questions. You're going to a pitch or a marketing meeting where they're hoping that you will do business with them. And that's where the real money is, and that's where the real freedom lies.
I have a question real quick. I noticed that your niece and great nephew, they started a show, and they talked about August. They started that show where they talked about vocabulary and stuff, and doing that, which is a great idea to start. And Demetri and I always say, start where you're at. But my question for you is, your oldest daughter, being the genius that she is, has she mastered the teleportation system yet to get me to Mars or back to Africa? Because I had her do that.
You're going to need it, because they are talking about leaving us here. So you definitely are going to need to be able to go to catch up with the space station and whatever Elon Musk is setting up for people. It may be a thing. And when we find out it's really a thing, guess what? It's way too late.
They leaving us and going well.
Who knows? I don't know. I haven't been in those meetings.
I'm gonna be straight up with you, man. I'm not finna stay here with some of these Negroes. I'm gonna be a stowaway on whatever they leaving on. Because some of these people I do not want to be around.
I feel you. I got something like that too.
No, but you're absolutely right. And I think Donovan and I are with Gary. We do not want to be left behind. But not even just in respect of them going in outer space or wherever they're going and leaving us here. Mm-hmm. Black people, we talk about this all the time. We are out of time. Black people are out of time, and it said that our wealth is going to diminish to zero. And they would have said 12 years. And this is what Andrew Yang was saying when he was running. 12 years, less than 12 years due to AI. And, and AI is taking away the manual labor, which is what we predominantly do. Black wealth is going to be zero. But, however, they did not factor in the COVID. So how many years did the COVID, this, pandemic, take away from us? It's less than, I would imagine it's less than 12 years now. And so we as Black people, we need to take advantage of all the things that we have near us, right? Like, for example, like a lot of these loan applications and these grant applications, as far as I remember, they didn't ask you what color you were. I don't think. I could be wrong. But the point that I'm making is there's a lot of opportunity out there for us as Black people to actually get ahead. It's going to take 232 years for us as Black people to catch up to the wealth of white people. The wealth gap being us was probably less than that now, $17,000 to that of $171,000 of average white wealth. Basically, I don't know about y'all, I'm not going to be here for another 232 years. And so we need to do all we can to not get left behind, right? And so,
yeah, and I'll say there's a certain, we definitely almost got to build our own track though, because that their track is never going to allow us to catch up with them. So the more we can do of that, and I face this a lot when even like I mentioned, my young children in school. I say to my friends all the time, if we had the equivalent of a HBCU for elementary schools, oh man, that would change my life. and maybe I'm preaching to myself. Maybe I do need to go ahead and build that. But
did you hear that though? He said an HBCU for elementary school children.
Because so much of what our children go through in those schools is, you've seen all the Karens on the internet. That's who's in the classroom, and she's married to the cop that's out there too. So it's like you either listen to me or my husband's gonna get you later.
Wow.
This question here, and I'm gonna dig off into this, and I need y'all help. We can build our own future with pocket change if we would only unite. Let me see if I get this right, man.
Mm-hmm.
You got 4 people here that's giving you the game. I can guarantee you, out of all the people that's watching, we're gonna have half of them that's gonna be like, I don't need to listen to them. I know y'all want to unite, bro, but we got to be realistic with this thing. I don't see it happening because I'm gonna be honest. When I'm in the sandbox, I don't play fair. I don't play with everybody. I don't want to play with everybody, and I've conditioned myself to be that way. I don't want to invest my money with certain people because you're not going to put your heart and your effort or your money into it like me. So, you know, even we saw the other morning, I'm doing a protest. Everybody talking about it, but they ain't about it. You know, 4 people out of hundreds of people. You see what I'm saying? So I need y'all to elaborate, whether you agree with me or not. The uniting part, I think that what we need to do is we need to have a starting point. And everybody just start doing their part. Create your own track from A to Z, and I'll meet you down there at the finish line, man. But I can't work with some of these people, man.
Well, you know, as positive as I try to be, I'm also of the mind that everybody's not going to make it, and so I can't run my race and go back and pick too many more people up because somebody's got to show us that we can win. And so that's just kind of how it is sometimes. So I totally understand how you feel, because if it doesn't work, I want it to be because of me.
It's frustrating. These people are already light years ahead of us. Okay, and we spending all our time trying to get us together instead of just starting the train up and moving it. We got to get from point A to point B. They already at M. And we still over here at A talking about, man, can you come on and kick it with us so we can get it done? No, what we need to do is fire the train up and just go on and leave some of these dudes right there at point A. Because that's the only way we're going to get there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you know, and part of it, some of us are going to have to go kind of obtain the knowledge and bring it back, kind of back to the talented 10th theory, is we got to just run and share and bring up who we can. I mean, one of the things I remember about the Tuskegee Airmen movie is that they had to walk some cats out to the forest.
Well, you know, I will say this. I'm more of an optimist, if you will, and I agree with Jonelle in that we do need to unite. And I just take this as an example. There's 4 of us on here. We're united in trying to, you know, what they, and we probably all heard this term, the Mastermind Alliance, where you get together with people who are like-minded, if you will, and try to build something. You bounce ideas. It's a think tank, if you will. So we're united on that. Now, Marcus Garvey said that. He says there, when he was trying to take us back to Africa in the early 1900s, there are some Negroes who are no good here, and no doubt they'll be no good over there. So we got to leave some people behind. It's unrealistic to think we're going to take everybody. Some people, as Gary said earlier, are comfortable with nothing. As you said, when you're poor to some degree, it robs you of responsibility. Hey, all I got to do is, you know, kind of just wake up and go with whatever the day brings. I don't have to plan to do anything. And so obviously we can't unite with people like that. But you guys being in the sports, it was a sports movie. I can't think of the name of it, with Kevin Costner. I think he said, if you build it, they will come. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times, you know, and I know, you know, a lot of people are like, well, once I build it, I'm not going to bring you Negroes along because you should have got on when I was building it. But that's just human nature. Especially, I don't want to say especially with us, but with Black people, we're like, I don't know about that. I got to ask 500 people and see if they know about it, you know? And so once we build it, then it's like, oh, okay, that's hot. All right, how can I get in? Unfortunately, with that, you have the Apple complex. I made that up, I think, where, Amazon stock was $3 at one point in time. And a lot of people slept on Amazon. what is it? $2,500 now,
$2,500 for one share.
One share. So we not all gonna do it, but some of us will. But at this point, unless you guys are interested in being an endangered species, we don't have a choice. And I know a lot of people take exception to Trump being in office. You know, we got to get Trump out of there. And I agree with a lot of people. Trump is going to actually help make the hood great again. It's going to force Black people to say, we all we got. You know, all the things that are keeping us complacent regarding the Democratic Party. Gary is struggling. He has had a long day regarding the Democratic Party.
I'm listening.
They're, you know, unfortunately, and we can talk about politics a little bit. You know, they're keeping us behind. Donovan?
Well, let me ask you this though. Okay, we're sitting here talking. We've got Professor Smith here. You, your brother. Here's what I want to know. I've known you guys for over 30 years, and you guys were always a little different than the regular crowd. What is it that is instilled in you guys that make you guys see something that the average person isn't seeing? Your mom's an author. Your mom was a nurse. I mean, she did all these great things. Your dad's, did this, and Professor Smith, and then you take what you've learned and you're instilling that in your children. So, what is the secret that you guys know that maybe the rest of us don't know?
I think it's the Willie D syndrome. He ain't with being broke.
I mean, wow, that's a good question. Definitely, I definitely attribute it to my parents and just the time. I want to say it was the time. I can remember when I wanted to play baseball, and that my parents both made it clear to me, if you want to be good at something, you're going to have to be obsessive about it, to where I'd stand in the front yard and practice my swing 300-400 times a day. And then my mom would even, throw pitches to me. It was just that time, that connection, and then just seeing it work, being an example of success. One of the things I most enjoy doing is bringing my kids to school with me. Most of at my school, we didn't give Veterans Day off. So that was the time they would come with me and sit in my classroom so they could see it done. And that way, a college campus was a place they were familiar, and they got to see the inside of it, because so many times we're so unfamiliar with things. And so just that exposure really helped out a lot. I mean, my sisters and brothers will tell you, I was lucky and spoiled that my parents are doing the best financially when I was raised. And so, yes, we traveled to Alaska on vacations in New York and all these other places, but I understood that, this is possible. This can be done. So we just gotta share it. And, I will even say, when there were times when we struggled and we wouldn't expose that to my kids. My wife would say, well, we don't have the money for that. I say, even if we do or don't, we can't teach them how to think that way. And so a lot of it's in the thinking and just what you share with your children, and you got to just expose them to what you know, or even learn along with them.
And, and I agree with Andre here. It says, like the people laughing when Noah built the boat before the flood, they drowned in the very waters they laughed at. No, absolutely. And I want, just kind of piggyback onto what Jeremiah says. My mom is gone. God rest her soul. I consider her my ancestor, but she would often hear, because it's four of us, she would often be asked, what did you do? Like, your kids, and this is not me, this is what, a lot of other people say, your kids are very smart, they're this, they're that. But, my parents, they set a really good example. Our parents were educated, they were entrepreneurs, and they, like Jeremiah said, they brought us along. It wasn't, well, we're going to go out and make the money and you guys stay here. They included us in what they were doing. I remember, like Jeremiah said, he's almost 10 years younger than me. So I remember the struggle. But I remember when my mom was starting a cleaning business, just to try to earn some extra money, because my mom mostly stayed at home. I was a stay-at-home mom, although she had her own degrees and stuff, nursing license. she started a cleaning business, and we're like, we don't want to go do that. And she's like, get in this station wagon. We had an old Rambler. Y'all getting in here. And, it didn't last that long, but she made sure that, we understood what it was to be an entrepreneur and to have to go out there and make something. But I will say this about my mom. My mom knew how to hustle. That was the original hustler. And so we learned how to do that. There was no, we can't figure it out. You can't make ends meet. My mom wrote 5 books, and traveled and did everything. I mean, it was just, my father's, so that's what we learned, and we passed that down to our children. And so it's really the notion of each one teach one. And I think to some degree, that's what we lack in our community. We don't, I don't know about community as much as generational, because they say the first generation of millionaires will rarely produce a second, because they get the money and then they rob their children of the hustle. So I would say, as far as my siblings and I, we weren't robbed of the hustle. We know how to do a whole lot of stuff. Ain't nobody never gonna go broke or hungry in this family. So, but let's swing it over to politics a little bit. Jeremiah, I'm wearing a shirt, which, this came out of a think tank between Donovan and I and my daughter. Says, hold the vote until. Hold the vote until. You can get that in blackanddope.com if you want it on the low.
All right.
What does that mean when you hear hold the vote until? What does that mean to you?
I think we have been considered, well, I'll say this. In politics, it's one of I learned statistics, fortunately, during the 2008 election when I was in school, right? And it breaks down to just demographics. It's just black people over here, white people over here, this district's going to go that way. It ultimately got down to that. But unfortunately, we were that predictable to where it was, well, there's this many black people, so they're going with the Democratic candidate. So this precinct's going to come in and it'll probably work out this way. It was just that academic at that point. And so I think we just, I think one party considers us to just be along for the ride no matter what, because traditionally they said, let me get you these programs, let me do these things for you, and don't worry about doing it yourself. We'll make it equal for you. Just wait for us to come get you. And we just can't settle for that. We can't be considered a done deal. We can't be considered, spoken for.
Not only have we just settled for it, I think due to the fact that a lot of us have been brainwashed, our mentality is not going to change anytime soon. When we hit that 12-year point like Dimitri and Donovan keep preaching about, we're going to be looking at some real stuff. And those of us who shouldn't have to go through it, we're going to go through some things just because the bulk of us didn't want to change. And that's not fair. Like all this stuff all over the country. I don't know how it is in California, but, you close the state, then you open the state. You put the burden on the people, knowing full well that they were not going to be responsible and adhere to those rules. You see what I'm saying? So if somebody doesn't want to even adhere to the rules to be able to keep breathing, how do we fathom them even turning the corner for us as a people to get to where we need to be? They don't even value life.
I'll tell you, the way I sum this up, where we are as a country, is people who want the right to die versus people who just want the right to live. And unfortunately, that's the fight right now. As silly as it may sound, that's what's happening. In California, we got some, it's sunshine, it's diverse, but there's definitely pockets of ignorance. I mean, Norco, California has probably been trending. They will be trending more. It's always been known as a place that's, Western Kentucky, in my opinion. Sorry to any people from Kentucky, but you couldn't be surprised by me thinking that. So yeah, it will never be fair though. To something you said, it will never be fair. And the sooner you realize it's a game and to kind of figure out the rules and just kind of learn how to navigate that, the sooner you'll succeed. I mean, we as a people can't complain about the refs anymore. We just got to play through it.
Oh, I'm sorry. We have the ability to be great at whatever we choose to be great at. We don't have to know anything about it. We'll figure it out and we can become great at it. If I'm wrong, how did we master the dope game? Let's talk about it. I'm watching y'all make the comments. So y'all think I'm over here and he tired? Yeah, I'm dog tired. But I'm reading these comments about mathematics. Okay, so if you sell dope, you got to learn how many ounces are in a key, how many grams are in a pound. And these dudes and women can figure that out faster than they could learn anything in school. So they can become anything that they choose to become. And some of them are choosing to be sorry. Some of them are choosing to be the victim. You see, I'm listening to y'all, and when I talk about it or when I see it, it frustrates me because you push that energy down to your kids and you make them sorry and irresponsible. You see what I'm saying? And now we just keep repeating these conversations, Man, where is the ark? Where is Noah? So I can go sit next to the donkey because I'm tired of hanging out with these asses.
Wow. Yeah, I do want to address that because, in the investment world, there's probably been a movie that's come out about it that each generation has endorsed, from Wall Street in the 1980s to Boiler Room in the 1990s, Wolf of Wall Street in the late 2000s to 2010s. But in Boiler Room, there's a quote at the beginning where he quotes Biggie saying, you either got a wicked jump shot or you sling crack rock. And he says, I went the white boy way of slinging crack rock. I became a stockbroker. And a lot of those skills in hustling and the dope game and all that are translatable. But sometimes, do you want to go in that world? I mean, I can tell you many a times I drove to the office with my music on, got to the curb, and put the wave on, that smooth jazz channel, because I was like, okay, maybe this world is a little too buttoned up. After a while, I was like, these cats are wilder than I ever thought I would be, with money. And so it almost became a thing where it's really just a different product at this point. Skills are the same. We got it, but we're kind of ushered into it. And I could even tell you that that's why that music performed by us that highlights that lifestyle is endorsed in such a way, because it does tell you, no, don't worry about being a stockbroker. You could be the rubber band man or whatever. You could do this instead. Just y'all go do that, and we'll promote that.
Man, them boys ain't got no rubber bands. They got yarn.
Yeah, man. So
yeah,
I just think of the stock market, as well as, I mean, everything that we've talked about, from insurance to stock options to everything. You feel what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. We have to wake up and just say, to hell with what I've been doing. One morning I woke up and I honestly just looked in the mirror and said, you know what? I'm tired of doing this way. I got to try another way. I couldn't rub two nickels together. I'm finna do this a different way. And a year later, I had about 300 grand. Because I just got tired of doing it that way. Mm-hmm. But I think that what we got to do is, when the train pulls into the station, it should be just like a subway cart. It should only sit there for so long. And if you don't get your black ass on it, then we finna roll. and you stay here. So when they get to traveling to the moon, I ain't leaving because it's gonna be a bunch of property here. I'm gonna make so some other people got some moon fare, so they can go on up there and fuck up the moon the way they messed up the earth.
Moon fair. Oh, I love that.
That remind me almost of, I wonder if heaven got a ghetto. It's like, will the moon have a ghetto?
Oh. They go up there, they gonna turn crater number 246 into the Carter. They gonna be up there slinging real moon dust. They gonna be on something. Don't let them find one of the flags up there. They're gonna be trying to sell that at the dollar store. You send black people somewhere, it's going down. They're gonna turn it black. They're gonna turn it black. They're gonna be up there arguing with aliens, man. It's gonna go down. I'm telling y'all, that's why I'm not going. I'm staying here. Black people gonna fuck up the moon. I don't care what you tell me.
Okay, yeah. Let me ask you. Can I ask you guys a question? What are your thoughts on, if we actually get a vaccine, are you going to be one of the first to take it?
Hell no. Put it in them donkeys.
no.
Put it in them hamsters. Them little lab rats. Go get you. Matter of fact, why don't you do this here? Since we do the Tuskegee experiment and go get you some real poor white boys and stick all of them with the vaccine. Give us 6 to 8 months. Let's see if they breathe it, and then I'll think about it. Until then, give me some vitamin C pills and some Campbell soup, and I'm gonna take my chance.
Yeah. It's funny that you say that. When I was in the military, somebody had this great idea to give us the it was a vaccination for some kind of disease that the cows get. I forget what it was called. And when you're in the military, you have no choice. You have to do it, right? So I get in line. They say, "Oh, you're probably going to get your minor thing." Almost killed me. I just said, So any other thing, they can have that. I'll take my chances.
Well, I don't want no parts of me.
Am I wrong in thinking if everybody else takes it, I don't need to?
Gary, put him on this question up, or our statement. Put him on the statement.
What's her name?
Amanda. That's Amanda. Yeah.
Hold on, let me find it. How far down is it?
It's like the third, fourth comment to the bottom.
Hold on, let me go back. Okay, there it is. Yeah, I got it. Let me go back up here. It jumped on me. There it is.
Ooh,
that's the one?
Yes, that one. Gary, I don't know if you missed your calling, but you have my stomach hurting. You talking about they gonna turn it into the Carter? Wow. But anyway,
it's gonna be trap houses at every cater. The Russians, they gonna get them high because they gonna come down there every now and then. They just going up there to see what we doing. I'm telling y'all what's gonna happen, man. Little stoves and beauty supplies on the moon. It ain't gonna be right.
Okay. All right.
Oh wow.
Woosah. Okay, hold on a second. So she says a lack of villages is why we now have ghettos. If that is not the most profound thing I've heard in a very long time, and I don't know if that went over a lot of people's heads, but they used to say it takes a village. And I think I'm reading this right, Amanda. It takes a village to raise a child, but we no longer have that village, right? Even when we were coming up, somebody, mom in the neighborhood could call your mama and say, "Hey, you around here acting up, you need to get them." But you call somebody mama nowadays, it's like, well, what you say to him? You don't say nothing to my son. And so the dilapidation of the village mentality has led to, now there's always been ghettos per se. We didn't necessarily create that. We know who created that. but we have perpetuated the ghettos. It continues, and we have more and more ghettos, and I completely agree with that. Is because our villages are no more. What do you guys think?
I think some of the villages are messed up. The village is fine. Ain't nothing wrong with the village. It's the villagers. The villagers be all on them narcotics, and you can't say nothing in the village no more. You can't drive your car through the village no more because they stealing it. You got a push button. They gonna steal it regardless, knowing they can't even start the damn car. The villagers are messed up, man. I'm telling you now, y'all. If I was tired, you'd have woke me up. I want you to understand. We have to tell our people that all the profound stuff that we're talking about, and you know how we can do it, all that. Man, the villages are messed up, man. Y'all ain't on the regular weed no more, man. Regular weed used to make you eat up all your mama cookies and go lay your ass down. Now y'all get on the weed, y'all all up in the street naked. You can't do that in the village, man. They bucket naked in the village. The village is messed up, man. Ain't nothing. Ain't the villages are messed up. Ain't nothing wrong with the village. Some of the villages need help.
Yes, you know, I'm gonna have to piggyback on that a little bit. What when he's saying that the people in the village, he's absolutely right, because who led us out of the village? Our parents and our grandparents. So some of y'all need to tell them to sit their asses down, your Sheila Jackson Lees, your John Lewises, and all these people that have led us to the slaughter, and let these people who know what they're doing in the modern age, the 21st century, lead us to where we need to go, because these people have led us into danger.
We got issues in the village, man. Our mamas and daddies and grandfathers and grandmothers didn't have a problem paying their way in the village. Y'all want to live in the village for free, man. Y'all want to steal lights in the village, man. You stealing the light meters, man. Y'all doing too much in the village, man. And then every time you look up, we got to have this black conversation. No, some of y'all need to do something with yourself. And that's all it boils down to. I'm just being straight up. It sounds like I'm joking. But man, like you say, you can't have that conversation with somebody about their kid no more. You can't. I had a lady at school one day. I'm in there trying to stop her child from going to jail. And she come up in there, put her ass in some handcuffs with it. Send them both to jail. But get them the hell out this educational environment. We need to start evicting some people from the village. But I'm telling y'all, when it's time to go to the moon, I ain't going, because Nick Rose is going to want to go. And I'm going to stay down here with the donkeys and the squirrels and live my life. See if I can find a little Duval and live my best life with the donkeys and the squirrels, and let them go up there and get all them aliens high on the moon.
You know, Amanda also says that the village is messed up because there's no more big mamas. What happened to the big mamas?
They still got them. They just 27 years old now. They 27 years old. Baby, the baby, your daughter is 13. You 27, your daughter 13, and the baby 6 months old.
That's the authorities. It's got to be the authorities.
I can't do it no more. I can't do it. Jeremiah.
Yeah. Yes.
What happened to the mamas?
I don't know. Maybe some of them got burnt out. You know, too much.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I don't have any grandkids. Not yet. I don't have any grandkids. But sometimes I get taken to task a little bit, because I'm like, I'm not going to be that type of grandmama or big mama where you got me saddled down with all the kids and you know, they come over and visit a couple days, you know, Grandy, because that's what they gonna call me. Ain't gonna call me no Granny or Grandma Grandy. You come kick it with Grandy for a day or two or whatever. But as far as me raising, that's what I'm not gonna do. But you know, that's like, I don't know. My mom didn't do that for me. You know, my grandmother didn't do that for me. But, you know, some people, I don't even know if that's the role of a big mama. Like the big mama was the one in the neighborhood to impart wisdom, you know, to teach people stuff. But I don't know if it's not necessarily a big mama, or is it that people just aren't listening to big mama anymore? Like, or is it both?
They too scared to have a conversation. The parents are too scared to have a conversation. They're too afraid to be parents. And I'm telling you the truth. I've seen it. They're too afraid to be parents. I joke a lot, man, but I'm just like, man. Man, can I say it, Demetri? Just tell me. Can I say it? Niggas and flies.
Put up Joe Nail's comment about the mamas twerking and the papas.
But she's telling the truth.
That's a he. He said
I didn't know. But he's telling the truth. You see, it just looks like we're joking, but it's telling the truth. And see, I even had somebody say a few minutes ago, sound like I'm a Trump, whatever. No, I'm telling the truth. And that's the problem. You can't decipher what's the truth and what's a lie. We don't want to admit as a people that we are messed up. We can't get to where Professor Jeremiah is telling us to get until we accept the fact that we are messed up. We have to fix us first to be able to work together. When you say, why can't we unify? Because we haven't fixed self. You can't work. I can't work with Demetria and Donovan and Jeremiah until I fix me. But we have to be honest. We are messed up as a people. Can we get it together? Sure we can. It's going to take a lot of sacrifice and it's going to take time. It will not happen overnight.
It definitely will be a process, because it was a process getting to this point, as bad as it may be, but it didn't happen overnight either. So we just got to be patient with ourselves and just make progress every day if you can.
And, you know, and I know we went over time. I'm just going to say part of one of my closing remarks is we are not going to save everybody. There's no absolute here. We're not going to save everybody. And partially why we do what we do here is because if we just reach one person, you know, I feel like for me, if I just reach one person and we get one person to just say, oh, you know what? I didn't know that, or I didn't think about it like that, then I feel like I've been successful. With the hopes of that person getting the knowledge and the information, and they go tell somebody and teach somebody. But I agree with you, Gary. We are not a well people. Dr. Joy DeGruy talks about that all the time. As far as Black people, we're just not well. And that has a lot to do with the institution of slavery. And we just didn't unlearn those things, partially because those things are still being exacted upon us due to systemic racism. I mean, we're even in 2020 where, I see Jeremiah's face curling up. In 2020, where, you know, we're still fighting to just not be killed by the police. Every day I see, you know, on social media where somebody is spitting on one of us or coughing in one of our faces. And, you know, and so it's like, we're still trying to get from under those things. But we as Black people got a lot to deal with. But the good thing about it is on this very Saturday that's coming up, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is going to be delivering a message on the 4th of July, 8 o'clock Pacific time, 10 Central, and 11 Eastern time. And so I'm sure, I don't know, hopefully he's going to address all of that. But Jeremiah, why did your face contort when I said that?
I was thinking, I'm looking at Al Jackson's comment about a favorite childhood memory with you, and I was just kind of going through the files and just trying to see if there's something. I have to say, you were pretty good to me as an older sister. So I know somebody's thinking, so what was I? That other sister's thinking that, but you were pretty good to me. Yeah, you were pretty good to me. You were a good guiding force. I mean, maybe you cut my hair and did things for me and things like that. So, Al, I gotta say, it's all pretty positive. I mean, I can't even think of anything embarrassing. So I know that's a big disappointment, Al. I tried.
My sister would be one of them going to the moon.
Well, you know, before we go again, thank you again, Professor Smith. I keep saying Smitty because I call you Smitty on short. But you know, you're a professor, you're an educator, and so when people that have wisdom like yourself, you studied it, you've lived a lot of wisdom, you're going through a lot of stuff, you're raising your children. What advice would you give anybody out there, leaving the show as a parting thing to think about?
I think I'll just reinforce that you got to come out of this, whenever it is, whether it's when there's a vaccine or 6 months from now, however, 3 months, come out of this better in some way. Come out of this because, like I said, everybody's treadmill has stopped. There will never be another time in your lifetime where everything stops like this and you got a chance to calibrate and really try to come up with something or just improve yourself, whether it's getting in shape or learning another language or, again, mastering social media, coming out with something. So use this time, enjoy the peace that you'll have. I think as Black people, I don't think I saw us marching to get out of the house or for haircuts or anything like that because we were peaceful in our homes and enjoy that peace and find a way to build on it. So that's what I would say.
Well, brother, I appreciate you coming through. It was beautiful, no question about it. I got a little loose. I still would not take everybody. I wouldn't go to the moon with some of these people. So I'm just telling y'all that it is real in the field. And I just think that we have to slow down. And we have to start processing the information. We have to. And we have to start applying the information. So I was going to say what you said, Demetri, July 4th, the man himself speaks. So, take the time out to listen to the minister and do what needs to be done. And because I'm going to listen to the whole speech. I'm not going to miss a second of it. July 11th, we're going back in the stock option class, the very first one. So if you missed it, then you need to be in the next one. It's only $25. You need to inbox Walter. He'll give you the information. And then once we do that class, we're going on to the second class. We're not going to do the first one again. So if you miss out, you miss out. So what if I don't take the first one? You won't be allowed to take the second one because we're not going to sit there all night and you ask 40 questions. We're going to see if we can get you a ticket to the moon. So, you missed out on it. So I won't. Today was an eventful day in Houston. Harris County District Attorney, put charges on 3 more additional cops. But tomorrow night, we get to hear from her opponent in the November election. Marianne Huffman, Republican, is going to be here. And then Friday night, we back doing with another Republican, Wendell Champion, who's in a primary, but should come out of that primary looking really good. And then he'll run against the big dog herself, Sheila Jackson Lee. This is an African-American brother who has basically gone from welfare to graduating from West Point. So you can say what you want. And I had a long conversation with this intelligent Black man. And I was thoroughly impressed. So with me and him, it's not about Republican or Democrat. It's about changing our situation. So whoever is best for us, that's what it is. But tomorrow night, a spirited discussion with Mary Ann Huffman, Republican candidate for Harris County District Attorney. And we're going to ask some tough questions. We're going to ask some tough questions. But I think that she might just be ready to answer. That's what I feel. And if that's the case, then so be it. So it is what it is.
No, they gonna come down here.
Say, y'all, I've been in the lab. I ain't gonna let you hear the vocals. I'm gonna just let you hear the music. Say, what you gonna do to them boys in blue is what that one's called. Yeah. Say, I want to thank my co-host, Donovan Sadiq, the Queen, Demetra K, our strong African-American brother, Professor Jeremiah. And you know me, I'm the 5-star general. And tomorrow night, Republican candidate for Harris County District Attorney, Mary Ann Huffman. We're going down, man. The war zone. You know how we do. Until tomorrow, we'll holler.